What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Run Your Race show with your host, Akeem.
And Chanelle.
We have an action-packed show for today. Well, not too crazy action-packed, but a lot to discuss. Before we begin, we want to take the time to thank everyone that continues to like, comment, share, subscribe, watch the videos, check it out. We recently got a pretty cool email from someone who was just saying how much they appreciated the non-biased approach that we take. So that was cool. It was cool to say that. But with all that being said, again, if you're here for the first time, welcome. If you are here since day one, we appreciate each of you. And again, let us know your thoughts of all the segments, the whole show in the comment section below. Let's get into things. There was a meet on Friday, the Holloway Pro Classic. Talk about a couple of the events. Let's start with I'm not going to say the main one. Obviously, they were all great, but one of the major headlines, again, was Quincy Wilson continues his record-breaking season, 44-20, under 18 record. Every time he breaks it, it's going to be his record. Bryce Deadman, second, 44-23. Matthew Boyling, 44-84. This race was delayed a couple times. What did you think of this performance right here and just this whole meet?
Yeah, I think overall it was a good meet. Like, as you just mentioned, there were some rain delays, but that's just something you have to deal with as an athlete, especially in Florida. So didn't seem to affect Quincy Wilson. He is running like a pro. I mean, he came down that final 100 meters and was in a battle with Deadman. And you said, man, I know this pro does not want to lose to this young kid. And so you could see they were both digging, and Wilson found a way to win and to run an extremely fast time, another record. And, afterward, he said he felt like he left some things undone at the trials, like he didn't perform at his best, which I thought he did, but obviously he knows himself better. And so he wanted to prove that he could do more, and that's what he did. And he also wanted to prove that he deserves a spot to run on that 4x4 in Paris. And I think he earned a spot. This young man is going to dig. He's going to fight. He's going to give you his all every time he steps on the track. Mm-hmm. And so that's what you need in a 4x4 relay. No matter how young you are, he's going to go out there and he's going to run. And I wouldn't be surprised if he gave Team USA a 43 split. So I am a fan for Quincy Wilson being on our relay in a couple of weeks in Paris.
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to get an opportunity. I mean, as we talked about before, and you mentioned it, the 4x4, there's more room for mistakes. The 4x1's a little bit more difficult because every little thing matters. But if you're running 44-2 open at your very least, say you split that exact same time, you're fine. The rest of the world isn't necessarily running 44-20 in the open. It's just America has so many different things. Here's a question, because I don't have anything really to add more from what you said. You covered it very well. And for those listening and watching, you let us know your thoughts as well, too. You have a 16-year-old kid, young man. I'm not going to call him a kid. He's a young man who still got, 16? So that's 11th grade?
He's going into the 11th grade.
Going into the 11th grade. And then he's going to be the 12th grade junior, senior for, American terminology. But then you're going to pose with the question of like, man, do I go to college? You're running 44-20. Sometimes people go to college and they leave running 44-20, and you can speak about this because you were in that same ballpark, in that child prodigy aspect of things. But from your perspective, is going to school really the smartest idea?
If I were him, I would pull an Ajay Wilson and Allison Felix and Noah Lyles. I'm going pro right now. I'm returning to high school as a professional athlete, and I'm going to forgo my NCAA eligibility. This young man needs to strike while he is hot. These companies I'm sure are fighting each other to have this man endorse him. Good looking, well-spoken young man. He can be the face of a shoe company. So many young athletes are looking up to him. And so I don't really see the benefit of him going to college at this point. He's already proven that he can run with the best. So that's my thoughts. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. I think the key thing in track and field is, as you said, you got to strike while the iron is hot. That iron isn't always hot, and so when you have everything lining up like this, it's something to look into, because you might not get a season like this, even if you go to the collegiate season. You don't have too many years like this where you're running like this in track and field. There's a bunch of different things that they have to discuss moving forward as well too. But he's got to pray about it, make the right decision with his family, with his coach, and kind of go from there. But just to go back to the question, man, look, you don't need to go to school, man. You can do online classes, go and get the financial benefits of the fruits of your labor. And then you can take online classes, and you can just, not too much has to change if you don't want it to in some ways.
Yeah. I like how you say that. He should definitely still get his degree, but
absolutely,
the shoe company will pay for that, and I love how you said go and get the financial fruit for his labor. Now, he could do that with an NIL deal. He doesn't necessarily have to turn pro. That's the nice thing about that. Now they can get NIL. So that's another route if he doesn't want to officially turn pro and forgo his NCAA eligibility. He could get an NIL deal. So,
but I think the other question is too, even with that, is, am I going to get faster? So the NIL deal sounds amazing. It sounds great. And I'm sure that he will. But as the competitor that he seems to be, if you go to a college and the system may not work for you, and you ran with your high school coach and your team 44-20, and then you can't really get close to that, that's going to play with him mentally. So there's a bunch of different options, a bunch of different things that he's going to have to make along with his team around him. But these are all really good problems to have. But incredible run from him. And I'm sure he'll get the opportunity to lace it up, at least in the heats of the 4x1. 4x4. Let's keep things going. Let's go down to someone who I've actually known and competed against since junior college days when he was at Butler Community College. Shout out to all the junior colleges out there in Kansas, toughest junior college region. Emmanuel Matadi sets a national record of 991. Joseph Fanboulay, 10 flat. PJ Austin, 10:06. Emmanuel Matadi competing for Liberia. What was your thoughts about this performance here in this race? Because I believe he ran sub 10 twice in that same meet.
Yeah, he looked really good. It has to feel like a confidence booster going in to Paris now as with a PB. And you say that anytime you break 10, you should be pretty satisfied. I don't know much about the 100, but to me, he looked good, but you could definitely share more.
Yeah, I thought it was 2 good runs, man. I think one of the things people have been saying about Matadi for so while is like, he's this big. How can he run this fast? Man, he has looked this size since junior college. Like, he's always been a bigger sprinter, but it just seems like things are starting to come together for him a lot more smoother, a lot more effortlessly. And his phases are really excellent. He's always powerful. He's one of the few power sprinters left in the sport. And nowadays, they're a little bit more taller, a little slender, not as big. But it goes to show that he is peaking at the right time, and he's running the right times at the right time. And this is what these last couple meets were about, to kind of dial in and lock in and get one more good race in, kind of see where you're at. But right now, I think it's all about confidence. And when he runs a 991, this is a confidence level that he's going to be able to take with him, because this is a time that's going to get you into the final. It's not going to win a final, but it's going to be a time to get you into the final. And if you can get into the final, who knows what you could do. 991, not going to say the easy, but it could be easily 985. And I personally think, maybe not this year, but we'll talk about that later, but more times than not, if you can run a 984, 985, that's going to get you on the podium. At least that's what history has shown so far. So this was a very good run, man, a big confidence booster. And, I'm happy to see Emmanuel Matadi run these times. because I remember where he once was going back to our junior college days. So it's good to see him run these times. And man, I'm gonna be rooting for you going into the Olympics, man. Liberia always has the fashion statement, and there's tracksuits and stuff is always great. So let's keep things pushing. We're talking about the London Diamond League next. Before we continue, again, any comments on anything that we just said, definitely drop it in the comment section below. Let's go through this Diamond League, man. Before we get into specifics, just a general overview. What was your thoughts on this meet here? I personally thought this was probably the best Diamond League meet so far.
Yeah, I think it was definitely the best Diamond League. Weather looked good, especially for London, which can be a little cloudy, rainy, and cold sometimes, but it looked hot, sunny, and you kept saying, man, the stadium is packed. We didn't see not one empty seat. They were excited. And I think the athletes just came ready to get in one fast run before they head to Paris. And that's what these races that we're about to talk about show. I mean, world lead, PB, national record. It was phenomenal. It was a fun meet to watch.
Yeah, one of the best ones, not gonna say one of the best Diamond League so far. And the story I told last week about this little girl throwing a lollipop at me, it was at this stadium. This was the stadium that she did it. And I think when there are people there to watch, man, it just makes it so much sweeter because you want to put forth an even greater performance and ride that atmosphere. Mm-hmm. So shout out to London, man. You guys really, really put on a great show. And sometimes you can even hear the noise and the vibrations through the TV.
Yeah. And it was probably really cool to have all those British athletes there. And a lot of them ran really well, as we will discuss.
They definitely showed out 1,000%. So let's get into the specifics of things. We're going to start with the women's 4x100 meter hurdles. Femke Ball, as you see the title that my wife beautifully said, Siliences the doubters. She ran 51:30, Shamira Little 52:78, and Rochelle Clayton 53:24. What was your thoughts on this performance here?
Yeah, we talked about it earlier this week, how she ran fast at that meet that I'm not even going to
show the phone.
Thank you. And the question was, well, can she run that way somewhere else? Yeah. You know, and she did 51:30. Extremely fast. No, it's not 50.9, 50.8, 50.6 like Sydney has ran, but 51:30, nearly 1.5 seconds ahead of the next person. She looked good. It did not look like she was straining. I mean, we are going to see a matchup between her and McLaughlin Levrone. Like the title says, I think she definitely silenced the doubters. It was good to see Little back out there after not making the team for the 400 meter hurdles for Team USA. She looked good as well. I think this was a season's best, if not a personal best. I'm not sure there. And then Clayton has been running well all season. But Femke definitely stole the show and made a statement.
You know, I was seeing this thing on Twitter or X, and someone was saying, man, you know, Femke ran 51:3. There's no way that she's going to get close to Sydney because of what Sydney ran so far. But I'm also just like, I think as people who are in the sport, you know, and have done it at that high level, once you run a personal best, your body is shot. And so if you are running 50.9 and you come back and run 50.8 and come back and run 50.7, there's a good chance you might be on something. Because the body is not supposed to be able to recover that quickly because it's in a place of shock. So even when we were talking about this and we're talking about times, I said, man, if the 50.9 is real, as many people have been saying and have been doubting because of the show to phone, I said, if that time is real, she'll run somewhere 51:3, 51:5, somewhere there. This 51:30 is it would have been her new personal best, you know, so it goes to show the level of shape that she is in. This is a really great time. There's only been three or four other times that's ahead of this, and it's Sydney's 50.6, I think her 50.8, and then Femke's 50.9, and then Femke's 51:3. So it's like these times are absolutely incredible. She put forth a great performance coming off of a personal best.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's going to be a really good race at the Olympic Games when the time comes. And then she's going to have some decisions to make because she also runs the mixed relays as well too. And so do you there's some stickiness there, but for those that were saying like it's going to be easy work for Sydney, I don't believe anything is easy work until the race comes, because you might trip over her.
Yeah, one just stumble and it's over.
You know what I'm saying? And so it was a good, solid run. And we have to know, like, at the end of the day, the human body is not a robot. It doesn't just work like that. It doesn't just recover like that. But Shamir Little ran a very good time. I mean, she's always competitive. She's always going to show up and give her best. So this was a good time for her. And Rochelle Clayton, I believe this is her first race after Jamaican trials where she ran 52.5, 52.4, somewhere there, if I remember correctly. So it's again that shock of that new personal best. Rochelle Clayton's time of 52.4 when she ran in Jamaica, I believe it was, that's top 10 ever. So her body's a little bit shot right now.
I was surprised to see her there.
Yeah, but she is going to put it together again at the Olympic Games. So when we look at this is a really competitive field across the board. Everybody's body's a little bit different, but again, Femke's 51:30. This was a very, very fast time. But just our 2 cents. Let's keep things pushing. Let's go to that women's 400. I mean, Miss Nickisha Pryce is still rolling, as the title says, 48.57. Natalia Kazmarek is having the season of her life as well, too. And Leaky Carver just seems to continue to progress and get better and better and better. What was your thoughts right here?
I was like, man, Pryce is still rolling after the collegiate season she had, all the 400s at conference, regionals, nationals, the 4x4s. I'm like, man, her coach is doing a good job with her. It's hard to do that with collegiate athletes. And we're kind of seeing on the men's side, Morales Williams struggling a bit. He looks a bit tired, and he should be, So I was actually shocked that she's still running personal best, world leads, very fast. As you said, Kazmarek and Clover look great as well. But yeah, Pryce, I'm like, wow, she's still rolling, and it's really, really impressive.
The fact that I don't think she hasn't competed since that Jamaican trials. And then she just comes over here and then she just kind of picks up where she left off in a new race kit. So, the sponsorship is there, but for her to have the season that she's been having and seems like she's still peaking, that's really incredible to see. As you said, as someone who has been in the NCAA system, you and I, it's not easy, man. It's a lot. So I hope that she can keep this up, because if she can keep this up, this puts her in medal contention. And sometimes too, you just hope, like, man, you hope they don't run out of bullets. This was a bullet, this was a wicked time. And she's impressive, man. I think she runs with a lot of heart and will. Like, she wills herself to finish that run. It's very impressive. Kazmarek, man, she's been running very well consistently all year. This puts herself in a nice position to find a podium spot. And if she can do that, I mean, that would be the icing on the cake, so to speak. But she has been very consistent this season as well, too. Same as Leaky Clover. She's been very consistent, too. And her times are coming down. So the women's 400 is going to be very interesting, man. I think it's going to come down to, honestly, who runs the rounds the better. And I think Nickisha Pryce, if she can run the rounds and do enough to win her heat, she'll be able to save some energy, because she's coming in running the most races than most of them.
Yeah, the most tired. Yeah.
So she really has to be able, and her team and her coach, to say, you know what, I got to hold a little bit back. And then in the final, who knows? 48.5? I don't know. The way how she's running, would it be crazy to say she could run 48.2? Who knows?
See.
Who knows? Let's keep things pushing. We talked about the women's 4. We're going right over to that men's 400-meter race. Matthew Hudson-Smith dominates with a 43.74 world lead Vernon Norwood, 44:10. Jareem Richards, 44:18. These are both personal bests for all of these men. And there was a couple more. I think the first top 4, top 5 all ran personal best. So this was a very good run. What was your thoughts on this whole performance right here?
Yeah, Hudson-Smith, he seemed to use that home crowd momentum and just let it carry him to the line, to a new world lead, to a new PB. He dominated. He looked great. Definitely has a target on his back now that he's stolen that world lead from Quincy Hall, who had it for what, a day? Or when did he run that?
I don't remember.
But yeah, so he looked really good, and Norwood, his 44:10, it should say PB after his as well. I was really happy for him. Wanted him to get under that 44 seconds. He's probably the most consistent 44-second runner there is out there, but really happy that he walked away with a PB, and same for Richards. But Hudson-Smith definitely stole the show, and that had to feel good in that home crowd.
Yeah, I mean, you right there in the UK, the crowd's cheering for you. You know, he has really made some strides in the recent years, but it seems like this year his confidence has been going through the roof. Like, he believes that he can be there. He believes that he can win. And with a time like this, and he seemed like he kind of shut it down that last 10 meters. But with a time like this, that always puts you in a position to get a medal. I think 43 anything is a good time to get a medal. So this is great for him going into the Olympics, because I have the world lead, meaning I'm the man to beat now. But just because you have the world lead doesn't mean you're going to put it together on the night. So he's going to have to do this against all of the other guys. And sometimes, you know, as so much about racing is that psychological aspect of things. What am I going to do when a man is right beside me or a woman is right beside me? Am I going to not tighten up? The beautiful thing about this is he's got long strides and he's powerful and efficient. So this is a really good time. And I think the talent was there for him, but now we're definitely seeing it. Vernon Norwood, let me ask you this. What age were you when you ran your personal best?
I was 30.
30? I
think so. Yeah.
Vernon's 32.
Oh, wow.
31, 32. And I say that because when Vernon Norwood, I don't know how many times he's run 44. That man's perfect for a 44. If you're a betting man, bet some money. Vernon Norwood is going to be 44. But so many times in the sport, in the history of the sport, you know, during the 80s and 90s, it usually was you were seeing personal best in the latter stages of athletes' career. Then there was like a turn in certain things when that 21 to 25, 26 range personal bests were coming out the woodwork. I mean, Usain Bolt, correct me if I'm wrong, broke the record before he was 27. You know, and so when you see a guy like Vernon Norwood, who's 31, 32 years old, and you see the consistency he's been going, it's like, wow, like I ran a personal best.
That's awesome.
At 32. Age doesn't really say too much to me, but it's just a gauge for those looking in, for you saying, man, like it's never too late for the right moment for the race to click for you.
Yeah, that's good.
So it was really good for him because he's been around for a while, man. And I mean, Jareem Richards, I believe he started out as a 200 runner, you know, and he's still sub 20, you know, but he hasn't ran many 400s this year. And for him to come out and run 44:18, I think the men's 400, man, I think it's open. I think it's anybody's ball game on the day, on the night. I think anybody can have the opportunity to get it done and to win. And it's going to be very, very interesting. But hats off to all of these men and all this whole field as well, too, because this was a pretty fast race overall. But Matthew Hudson-Smith, it's got to feel good for him going into Paris as the world leader. But as you just said, there's a target on your back. Sometimes you got to duck and weave sometimes, man. Let's keep things pushing. Probably one of the races of the meet, if not the race of the meet, the women's 800. I mean, Keely Hodgkinson, the question we asked before was, is she the one to beat? ? And then this week, she definitely is the one to beat. 154.61 national record, personal best, world lead. Gemma Reekie came behind her, 155.61 personal best. Bell 156.23 personal best. It seems like when you look at this whole stat sheet, everybody ran a personal best or season best.
Mm-hmm.
But as someone who has been in this event, racing at the high level for years on years, what was your thoughts on this race right here?
I was almost speechless. I mean, they said, I knew they wanted to run fast because they said they asked the rabbit to come through in 56.5. So it's like, okay, they're trying to go fast. Now, this fast, I mean, you said last week, oh, maybe 156. And I was even like, oh, 157, 154. Like, and it looked, I'm not going to say easy, but she looked good. She took the lead and she had a rabbit, but the rabbit was a little bit too fast. So Keely pretty much led from wire to wire because when the rabbit is that far ahead, yes, it's a target, but it's not really that helpful. So she led the entire race.
Yeah.
Looked amazing. And I mean, 154.61, that she's the one to beat. I mean, and for Ricky and Bell also to be British athletes, for them to go 1, 2, 3. Now they have a 154, 155, 150. They made a statement, you know, and so this was just incredible. I kept looking at the times. Everybody in the field broke 159. Like shout out to Keely, man. Something would have to happen for her to not win gold. You know, so I mean, I'm almost speechless. I don't have anything else to say. You know,
this 4x4, 4x8 team would probably give your years a run for their money a little bit. Oh gosh,
absolutely. Because then they had Laura Muir, who was also in this race, and
I think she ran a personal best, something like that, right? Or season best?
Season's best, 158. But I mean, golly. Whew. Yeah, shout out to the British women. Y'all are doing something else right now on this event.
You know, this puts in, because a thing also ran at the Grand Holloway Classic, and she didn't run the greatest either. You know, I think she ran like 2 minutes. And so at one point you're talking about a thing being the woman to beat, but now it seems like Keely has kind of taken that a little bit.
Yeah, she's now higher than a thing on
the list,
the all-time list,
and a better personal best now.
Yeah, it looked like a thing was on a mission to run fast at the Holloway Pro Classic. I just don't know if her fitness matched her desire. It just didn't look like she was quite ready to come through in that 56, 57 type pace. That's what I saw. But someone who was ready for that pace was Keely, because she dominated. That was a beautiful 800-meter run.
Yeah. The thing for me that I've seen from Keely this year was I'd see her name entered in the 400 meters a lot in certain events. I'm like, oh, it's just this is different. You would think you'd want to get, the race pattern down, the consistency in the 8, but she was working on that foot speed is what it seemed like. Mm-hmm. And it seemed like that was the right plan.
That's a good point, because when you want to come through the 8 in 56, 57, when you can run a 51, 52 in the open 4, that makes 56, 57 feel very, very comfortable. And so I was someone who also always wanted to work on my 400 because I like to go out hard. So I'm like, if I'm going to go out in 56, 57, then I need to be able to run at least a comfortable, I think my best is a 53. It should have been faster for that 56, 57 to feel good.
Should let me coach you.
So, this makes me want to make a comeback. I said that after the race. I'm like, my gosh. But yes, she's coming through 56, 57 because she's run all those 400s. She's feeling good. And so shout out to her coaches for setting her up for success, because this right here, and Belle is her training partner. And Ricky, and 155.61, that wins any other race. So shout out to her as well. I'm a fan. I think these past few years she's been struggling with her health, but she's made a coaching change and just a lot going on in her life. So for her to be ready in an Olympic year, shout out to her. I'm really happy for her.
Well said. The 8 at the Olympics is going to be very, very exciting. 153?
I don't even know. Maybe.
We said that last time. Let's keep things pushing. let's go to the women's 200. Gabby Thomas digs deep, and I mean deep, for the win, running 21:82, beating Jillian Alfred by just a smidgen in her national record and personal best, and Dina Asher-Smith 22:07 season best. What was your thoughts here?
Dina got out. I'm like, are they going to be able to catch her? There's no way you should have that type of lead and not win the 200 meters. So if she puts it together, that's scary, because she looked good up until about 160, 170, right? Then comes Alfred, and I'm like, okay, she's gonna get second, because she passed Dina and was looking like it was hers. And then all of a sudden, Gabby Thomas comes and gets the win, and that's why it says digs deep, because she had to fight for that. She had to dig for that, but it has to be a confidence booster for her to know I can have not the greatest start and still beat the best of the best. If she puts that together and does get a good start, she's hard to beat. And I know you're team Sharika, so you're hearing me talk like, I don't know, but I still think Gabby is going to take home the gold in Paris.
Yeah. Let's go backwards for me, and then we'll come back to Gabby Thomas. Dina Asher-Smith, man, again, I think people forget that she was a world champion in 2019 in this event right here. The new coaching change, first year working with this new coach, Jillian Alfred's training partner, and the way how she ran that first 125 meters, I'm like, there is no way that this woman's not going to run 21.5, 21.6. But it goes to show that it's coming together again. That puts a lot of shock on athletes, man. When you are halfway around the bend and you see someone like, wait a minute, like, how are you here right now? So that's going to come. The second half of her run in the 200 is going to come, but that was a great start. And if you had someone just commentating it, not the TV on, your eyes are closed, and you're hearing them talk about this race, you would think that it would have been over with, right? So this was a very good run for her, and I think this puts her in a great position. I mean, she's close to her personal best and almost breaking 22 seconds again. Jillian Alfred, man, obviously, I think her better event is the 100, but 21.8. I mean, what can you say? You ran a personal best. Anytime you run a personal best, you would feel like and think that you would win.
She looked mad.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like it. I don't like too much smiling in my athletes in competitions. I'm not with the, no, I want straight face, cold. We're about here for business. I like Jillian. That's what she's about, business. And every time that she loses a race, she comes back better. At least that's what we've seen from this season so far.
Yeah.
Before she ran 10.7, she lost. And she came back and ran 10.7. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, I don't think anyone puts as much power to the ground as Jillian Alfred, man. Now, Gabby Thomas, I like what you said at the beginning of this, where you said she digged deep and she found another way to win. That has to be great. And you can see how much it meant to her when she crossed the line. She threw those hands up because she was probably surprised she came back, but she left it very, very close. And you can't do that at the Olympic Games. You can't leave that very close, especially if you have Sharika right there as well, too. And there's going to be someone else who is a surprise that is going to be there and have the meat of their life. Gabby Thomas knows about that. She was expected to win a couple of years back, and someone nipped her, and she got second. But this was a very good run. I really liked how patient that she was, and she didn't panic. Sometimes you can panic, and your form is off, it's out of whack. But she knew, man, if I can just get to this point, if I can just get there, if I can stay tall, if I can trust, if I can believe, if I can be consistent, if I can put the power to the ground, that I can get there. She's taller than all these women. So her stride pattern is going to be a little bit longer effortlessly than all these women. And so she put the right race together, even though she didn't have the greatest start. So composure-wise, this is what it takes to be a champion. And I thought she showed why she is going to be one of the favorites to be Olympic champion. Very good run. Very good second 100 meter. Not the greatest 100 meter, but she doesn't need us to tell us that. She already knows that. But yeah, let's keep things pushing. to the last event of the meet, the men's 100-meter. Noah Lyles backs it up again. All his talk, 981 personal best. Akani Simbini, 986 season best. Letsile Tobogo, 988 to round out the third place spot. I believe there was 5 men under 10 seconds. What was your thoughts on this race right here?
I'm going to let you break it down from a technical standpoint, but we talk off camera about, Noah is a talker, and it's one thing to just talk and not back it up, but he backs it up. So it's hard to be a hater, because yes, he does talk and sometimes it comes off wrong to people, but he goes out there and he performs, he rises to the occasion every single time. So that's what I saw again, a new personal best, 981, season's best for Simbine, national record for Tobogo. It was a fast race. I don't know who the favorite is for Paris. A lot of people are saying Kashane. I don't know. I just want to see a good race. I'm excited for it, but I'm going to let you break this down from your eye.
Yeah, this was a very good run. Again, going back to, what Noah Lyles is about, man. So if you guys want to shut him up, you're going to have to beat him. And even when you beat him, he's still going to talk. You just got to accept the fact that he's going to talk. But can you beat him more than he can talk? And if you can beat him more, he's not going to talk as less. That's just the way it is. It's high elite sports. Some people love to talk. The man loves to talk. Only way to quiet him is to beat him consistently. But he does show up every single time that he is on the track. When you look at his race pattern and for this 100, he did not have the lead to 30, 40 meters. It was actually Tobogo. I was surprised by that because he's not the greatest starter, but Tobogo pushed very well this run. It's like he was been in the gym these past couple weeks. And as we talked about before, we didn't really know what type of shape Tobogo was in because he was just shutting it down. But this is a great performance from him. And if he could continue the push and transition a little bit better, he would have been the one running 981. I think he's a big sleeper in this 100. But he ran a very good race. Akani Simbini, he has gotten the short end of the stick in the previous Olympics, previous world champs. He's finished in that 4th place spot. So he knows how to show up and make a final. And then so going into this Paris Olympic Games, I don't know what his age is. This could be his last one. And he's going to try to build off of that 4th place and try to get on that podium. And he's definitely a guy who can do that. Now, Noah Lyles didn't have the greatest start, but he wasn't too far behind. No. And we know he's got 19.3 200 meter speed, and he's better on the second end of the 100 than he is on the first. They didn't put enough of a gap of lead on him. And he does a great job of running his race. So many times in sprinting, you're looking to the left, looking to the right to seeing what your man is going to do or woman's going to do. And when you are looking too much about them, you don't pay attention to what you got going on. And I've seen Noah, whether he has a terrible start or a really good start, still put together that same consistent pattern and finish well. So it's going to be interesting to see who is the favorite going in. If you look on paper, it's going to be Kashane, but there's so many other guys. And in the 100, especially at the Olympics, you can't have a little bit of that lackadaisical start, because Jacobs is running himself into form as well, too. He's a 9.9 guy so far, so it's going to be interesting to see how it unfolds in the 100. But man, Noah ran a great race, personal best. And he, again, if you think he's going to stop talking, you got another thing coming. But if you want to stop him from talking, you just got to beat him and beat him good too. But it was a good run. Again, another fast performance. What's interesting about this whole thing, the Diamond League meet, remember at the start of the year when people were talking about where are the fast times? Yeah, it was kind of annoying. And we said it'll come when it needs to come. And it's here. It's here, yeah. So as we go into the Olympics, when, next week? For track, a little bit over a week, yeah. And we'll be doing some things, obviously, for that as well, too. But what race, for our Run Your Race topic,
Mhm.
what race are you looking forward to the most at the Olympic Games?
You have to pick one, okay?
Well,
One. And I'm going with the men's 1500 meter. Ingebrigtsen, Kerr is going down. We got one who likes to talk, one who just likes to show up and run. I'm excited. And I just know that it is going to be a battle. It's going to be fast. It's going to come down to a lean. And I cannot wait.
so I'll pick my one,
One.
and I'm going to my bias side of things. It's going to be the men's 100, and because I think it's open. I don't think there's a clear-cut favorite. I just think it's open. But I also think if it's going to go in my mind how I think it's going to go,
Let's hear those predictions
later. When we get closer, then we'll talk about predictions. But in my mind, if it goes like how I think it's going to go, 9.6 is going to win this meet.
Wow.
Is going to win this the 100 meters in Olympics. So I will say the time, maybe 9:69, 9:74, somewhere in that range. That's the time. Who? Well, we're going to see and we get closer to that date. So that is it for the show.
And we would love to hear what races you all are looking forward to at the Olympics. Let us know in the comments. That's it.
Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. Let us know your thoughts, and definitely share this with a friend that loves track and field.
Have a good week.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.